Hi again. So I've watched Zootopia 2. This is also like my third or fourth attempt at recording this because I'm really trying to figure out how am I going to make this video. Because all right, well obviously first, spoilers for the movie. Watch it for yourself if you really care about watching the movie. Obviously, don't listen to this fool yapping and ruining your experience of movie. That's one. Two. Uh, I am not doing a critical analysis of the movie because I've literally only watched it like several hours ago. I'm just kind of going off a feeling. I guess expressing what I really enjoyed about the movie. I think I'll kind of stick to that. Obviously, like my mind likes connecting dots. So I'll mention those connections, but they'll be very, very opinionated. And if anything, this video kind of serves more or less as like I guess a platform for just chatting, discussion, um, which may be a bad idea. Just kind of opening up my comments to that nonsense, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that big to get much of a shitstorm in the comment section. Um, anyhow, so movie, I think it was good, especially uh I feel like it made or it handled the material of like um inequality and disenfranchisement and uh that kind of stuff like a lot better than the first. These are I'm echoing sentiments from friends and people I see in my online sphere. So it's probably not purely my own opinion. Again, if you want to see like review, critique, all that kind of stuff, I'm not the channel for that. I'm just spewing out things. Don't take my word as gospel. 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 So I feel like they definitely did a really good job with the themes because I did come into the movie trying to see like, how do they handle the themes of like uh discrimination? How did they handle that kind of stuff in this movie? And I think it handled it pretty well. Um, I love the idea that like the whole premise of that movie, right, was that, or like the thing that Judy Nick was were piecing together was the fact that it turns out that uh I forgot what the snake's name was, but yeah, the snakes family were the actual ones behind the creation of the weather walls, which are like these walls that help keep the environment of each region of like Zootopia separate so that it's conducive for basically all types of animals, essentially. Uh, the snake's family was the one that created it, but they needed some financial support from, and they got it from the lynxes, but the lynx just went like, no, we're just gonna steal this. It's mine now. When because like their ancestor, the lynx's ancestors were like, at least were portrayed to be like opportunistic, and they seem to belittle others. They see themselves more important, I think, all the way through. So yeah, they uh they basically framed the snake's family for murdering uh their maid for murdering their maid, and thus because of the scare that was I guess, propagated by this spark. It led to a lot of the reptiles, especially the snakes, to go into hiding or flee the country to another place. Uh, and that was the state of affairs for years. Uh, then one time, uh, this takes it back to the modern era. 100 years later, I think. Zootopia is now completely like newly refurbished. Like everyone, like everything's all settled in, right? And then the Lynxes were like, okay, we're gonna put on display the book, the journal, the thing that basically started Zootopia by basically bringing people, because like, we are the ones that brought people together. Look at how cool we are. This is the first time in years that this happened. And then they, like Judy and Nick, then wanted to protect this because it seemed like that there was going to be some shenaniganery happening. So like around this particular book, so they jumped in to like to try and stop whomever might be targeting this book from stealing it, because that's just, you're stealing bad. But then it turns out that like it was a that there was a lot more to it than that, because like that's when they discovered like the fact that the book itself like had grooves and writings and whatnot that would be visible to those who are like who could see in heat, like Vipers, the snake character. And then they're like, oh shit, all this could mean if we go to the place, that means that we could basically clear the name, because like a lot of like reptiles who were unjustly ousted because of the because of the acts of this one person, that they could come back, they could have their name cleared and whatnot. That was the whole plan, and then they basically executed it. There are some twists along the way, obviously, but that is more or less the gist of it. I already started rambling for about 5 minutes on like basically a very, very gross synopsis of the movie. So why I like it so much, why I find this movie particularly charming in the way that it dealt with the themes, was, I suppose, like, one, that not all the lizards left. They didn't all disappear. They still were there in Zootopia, just out in the fringes where they weren't as harshly ousted as they were deeper within the area of Zootopia. And I think that's also a poignant thing about how the movie uses like the word utopia, and like how it's not all perfect. That's why it's called Zootopia. It's meant to be a play on Utopia, so it's a shame that Europe had either Metropolis and specifically in Germany, Zoomania. It would have that is unfortunate that the title had to be like adjusted because of legal issues. Anyhow, like people still existed, right? Like take America. Native Americans still exist. They are still there, and they just want to live and be themselves. And they're just willing to settle to be able to govern themselves because they are nations. They lived here years before America came in, and that's something really hard to reckon with because especially as anything because that is like a fraught subject in and of itself. Like that has its parallels here where the snakes were here for years but they got pushed out. They were the one that got pushed out. And like they didn't all go away, right? Like there are reptiles that found themselves in the marshlands because like I said, that's where they are the most safe. And can I say now? Okay, I'm not a black person. I am Asian in descent. More specifically, Southeast Asian. My American accent is because I watched a lot of American media growing up. That's one part of the equation, but basically what I'm getting at is that I like how like a little bit of like jazz like in like this little nook where the reptiles were were jiving and having fun, like they were portrayed in some capacity, like obviously they were outcast but they're like happy being themselves here. And like I like the fact that they have like like jazzy like vibe to it, like speakeasy kind of vibe when they were introduced in the marshlands. The reason being is because like the jazz scene in the US very much started from like black people, from African Americans. Heck, there's a lot of like terms I can't really name them that can't come from like East African, like from African um languages, like that reported over through like um you know I can't really say which form of like language incorporation, but like a lot of like African terms did make its way into like the black music scene, which led to jazz, essentially jazz and blues and whatnot. Again, like this is just me making dots. I do not know how much veracity any of these words I say have, but I just know that that's what it feels like to me. Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments. um but yeah, I kind of like that. um and as cartoonish as like the villains are, like this is indeed like a big issue. I think like this is pointing out like more poignantly at some of the big issues as to why that these like a lot of people that hold seats of power are so afraid of minorities. And that is because of how they treat those minorities. They know that they pale in comparison, like by numbers, and they've done so many bad things because that's what they just do. Because like a lot of times, like people in like those higher seats only see numbers. They don't see people. And uh and in this particular case, even though like obviously it's like a lot more extreme, like you could see that the reason why they want to keep their power is because they've had it for years. And this they cannot fathom to suffer the consequences of doing heinous shit, so they do anything to like hide it, to push it out of the way, to conceal it, whatever it takes, even if it means adding more to the list, adding more to the body count. Anything. Nothing is beneath them. in order to maintain their seat of power, and they will influence um the ruling class. They will influence those who make the laws to get what they want. It is extremely cartoonish, and I think that it is good that it is, I believe. Like, it is still very, because like it's grounded and based off of, like, you know, what we see in real life, obviously, again, coming from like the angle of discrimination and inequality, that has kind of like passed on, not passed on, but like, you know, it was meant to be like their next attempt or second attempt at the handling the themes. At least that's how I feel like it was, which I believe they did well. And like I say that they I say that it's a good thing that it isn't like put in this cartoonish way. I say cartoonish, like obviously like it's real, but in like a more in a more digestible, like E for everyone a kind of way, that is still like kind of like simplifying things, because obviously it's a story. Like, stories are constructed because we love our happy endings. We love like the way that the twists and turns, the twist and turns of like a narrative goes, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously things got to be flattened. That's inevitably going to be that way, especially for an E for everyone kind of thing. But what they got to express, what they get to deliver with those constraints in mind, is fantastic, because a lot of people, I believe, will feel seen by this, and a lot of like a new generation of people and furries will look at this movie and can understand and relate to the parallels that like the world has, right? Like, this is a good way to put into a younger generation's mind that there can be people out there that are systemically trying to keep you down, especially for those that have been disenfranchised, those in the minority, those who suffer inequality. This is that message to them, that that exists, that these things exist, and it plants, I guess, the idea that you can, that it helps like a newer generation recognize these kind of things, and also it gives them a hopeful message that you can win, as like the snake said, because I forgot the snake's character's name. We will succeed. That snake has been fighting this inequality, this injustice, or that family for 100 years. According to the movie, it was 100 years. 100 years they suffered this injustice, and yet he still tried, and it was worth giving a shot, and it, you know, worked out in the end. We have to keep fighting for our community, for whom we love. We cannot bend and rely on like the system to always work, because the system can break always. We cannot rely on corporations, because they all that they do is they only care about money. That's all that is. Straight up. We can't rely on that. We have to rely on each other. And I think that is a big strong part of that movie. We have to rely on each other, as the partnership between Judy and Nick, you know, were kind of tenuous and then kind of frayed, and then, you know, repaired over time. I think that's what also is one of the messages. I'm sounding a bit pretentious now, and I think I said to myself that I would make this like only fucking 15 like up to 15 minutes, but I just ended up rambling for nearly 20 now. I think that this movie does a lot good, a lot better than what well, okay, I can't say that. That's not fair. I cannot say like it does better than Animal Movie 1, but you know, I'm sure that some proper critic would say that. But like at least for me, it was a great experience. I had a lot of fun watching it with friends and talking about it and having Korean fried barbecue stuff after that. It was a chill time. Uh, I think there's a lot that we can like the message in this movie is really solid. I'm so happy to have experienced it. Um, because like I was almost not going to. I was almost about to just like not see the movie at all, like just in general. But then my friend Planka, he was like, "Hey, we're gonna watch it all. Like a bunch of furries are gonna come and watch it together." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I love socializing with my Berlin furs." All right, I don't know how to end this video. Do I recommend this movie? Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Uh, I think that's it. Like you could watch it. It's pretty good. The I don't know how much my opinion matters, but you could watch it. Uh oh. You could also I was about I cannot bring myself to say like, comment, subscribe